How confident should you be with the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser? Is it truly worth the price you're about to pay? Before you even step into the showroom, let's take a step back, because past complaints tell us more than any spec sheet ever could. In this video, we'll break down the most common issues reported by real Land Cruiser owners from previous model years, and more importantly, whether Toyota has actually done anything about them. So if you're considering the 2026 Land Cruiser, stay tuned, because knowing what to look out for during your test drive might just save you thousands down the road. All right, let's talk about the Toyota Land Cruiser. Yeah, that rugged icon known for durability and off-road chops. But even legends have their weak spots. 1. Cramped third-row seating. One of the most common complaints about the Toyota Land Cruiser over the years. Yeah, cramped third-row seating. Especially for adults, it often felt more like an afterthought than a real, usable space. Now, why does that matter? Well, imagine this. You have a 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser. You're heading out on a weekend trip with family or friends. You've got the cooler packed, the playlist loaded, and everyone's excited. Then you open the rear door, and your buddy pulls the short straw. He's stuck in the third row. 5 minutes in, his knees are up to his chest, he's leaning sideways, and he's already asking when the next rest stop is. Not exactly the road trip vibe you had in mind. That's the thing. When a vehicle is marketed as full-size and family-ready, you expect all rows to be functional, not just the first two. So if you regularly carry more than 5 passengers, cramped third-row space isn't just a minor detail. It's a comfort deal-breaker. 2. Limited cargo space with third row up. Now, on paper, it sounds minor, but here's why it matters. You're heading to the airport with your whole family. Everyone's in the car, all 3 rows filled, great, right? But when it's time to load the bags, surprise. You pop the trunk, and there's barely enough room for 2 medium suitcases. Suddenly, your dream SUV feels more like a cramped hatchback. You end up playing luggage Tetris, jamming bags into any corner you can find. Someone's got a backpack under their feet. Another person's hugging a carry-on in the second row. Not exactly the smooth start to a trip you imagined. That's the issue. When the third row is in use, cargo space becomes super limited, and for families or anyone who travels with gear, that's a real headache. So yeah, it's not just about numbers on a spec sheet. It's about whether your 2026 Land Cruiser SUV can actually handle your lifestyle. 3. Firm ride on-road. Now, to be fair, it's built to handle rough trails, rocky paths, and off-road adventures. That's where it shines. But what about everyday driving? Well, that's where things get a little less comfortable. Let me paint a picture for you. You've just picked up your 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser. Proud moment. It looks great, it's tough, and you feel like you can drive through anything. Then Monday rolls around, school drop-offs, grocery runs, maybe a 30-minute commute. And every little bump, pothole, or uneven road, you feel it. It's like driving a tank through suburbia. Sure, it's capable, but when you're not off-roading, that firm suspension can make your daily routine feel more like a chore than a cruise. That's why it matters, because most of us spend more time on highways than on mountain trails. So if comfort matters to you, especially on long drives or city roads, this could be a deal breaker, not a feature. 4. Outdated technology. We're talking about the infotainment system, navigation, and even driver assist features, stuff that, in many cases, felt a generation behind what competitors were offering. So why does this matter? Let's say you just dropped big money on a brand new 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser. You sit in the driver's seat, expecting a slick, modern setup, wireless Apple CarPlay, intuitive controls, maybe even a heads-up display. But instead, the screen is slow to respond, the menus feel clunky, and you're still using a USB cable in 2025 just to play your playlist. It's kind of like buying a high-end smartphone and realizing it runs like something from 5 years ago. It works, sure, but it just doesn't feel premium. And that disconnect? It takes a bit of the excitement out of the ownership experience. In today's world, tech is more than a bonus. It's part of how we drive, connect, and stay safe. So when an SUV in this price range skimps on that, yeah, it matters. 5. Price versus features. One more thing that's bugged some Toyota Land Cruiser owners over the years. Price versus features. Now, don't get me wrong. The Land Cruiser has always had a reputation for reliability and off-road strength. But when people start comparing it to other luxury SUVs in the same price range, that's where it gets tricky. Here's why it matters. Imagine you walk into a high-end restaurant. The prices are premium, expectations are high. You're thinking fine dining, right? But then your meal comes out, and it's pretty basic. Tastes fine, sure, but nothing special. No fancy plating, no bold flavors, no extra touches. At that moment, it hits you. You're not mad about the food. You're just wondering why it costs so much. That's kind of how some buyers feel about the Land Cruiser. You're paying a luxury-level price, but inside, the features and finishes can feel a step behind, especially when competitors are throwing in massaging seats, panoramic roofs, and advanced tech as standard. So if you're paying a premium, it's fair to expect a premium experience. And when that doesn't line up, it's not just disappointing, it's a deal breaker for some. Final thought. If we take a look at the previous generation data, I'd say Toyota's average responsiveness sits at around 60 to 65%. What does that mean for you? It means some of the issues from past models might still be hanging around in the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser. So before you get caught up in the new look or spec sheet, it's worth knowing which complaints could carry over. Think of these as your personal checklist during the test drive. Are the seats still cramped in the third row? Is the ride still too firm on city streets? Does the tech finally feel modern enough? In the end, it's not just about whether Toyota fixed everything. It's about whether you can live with what hasn't changed.